Oh, thank you for a beautiful share and sketch of you and your mum and the relationship and where you find yourself and your background and the link in with music, with healing therapy, with NLP, with your mum's work as a musician, as a teacher, and something extraordinary during the war, which is clearly still a presence in her life. And that I'm so glad to hear that you have moments of lucidity with her where you can build on the relationship as it is now. And that sounds like it, it's so worth it. There's so much there that's important. And the other level that I'm hearing is your expertise and where you find yourself at this point and how it sort of connects with purpose on some level, and that there may be something here for others, and that you could be okay. Yeah,
that brings up a lot. Suddenly something's releasing. So that acknowledgement of purpose. So I think that's really touched something. So thank you for seeing that, because sometimes I question whether I'm just making it up. Well, actually a lot. I question that sort of thing a lot.
I mean, when you presented it, there was a great sense of passion actually about it, as if the purpose was really sort of overriding any doubts that you might be having. And when it's reflected back, it feels powerful. Because I took that with utter seriousness and respect for where you are and what your role might be in the future, and what, if anything, I could help with along the way, towards let's just play with ideas. So end of life care, using voice, using your other skill sets, is just the obvious one on the surface, but there could be many others.
And I also have a passion for people's stories that are being lost into the ethers because they're just not being told. And there's wisdom, that there's this whole library of wisdom that's just being lost, and experience and joy and love and perspective. It's just being lost and dismissed and not passed on so I feel that also that's missing for the young and the youth, because they haven't got that part of their foundation in the world.
It's funny because I'm so glad I'm recording this, and because this is in a way part of saving that story, because this is your story, and your passion to save the story of your mom is also now we're just doing it right now, saving something, a little element of it on iCloud as we speak. And I'm just sort of looking at the power of Zoom and how it's come into all our lives in a very helpful way. So let's just go back to what that whoosh was and where it's landing for you now.
Well, now there's having shared that with you, and allowed that emotion to come through. It's settling for me, and I've got the clarity that that there's a rightness here in this conversation, because that clarity is now settling with me in terms of for me, what is it? I think for me, that was a message from my unconscious higher self, also saying there's a resonance here because you saw me. So, and you heard what I was saying. So that, I think that's what it is. Trying to vocalize that. That's what it is. Or part of it.
Have you had much sort of adult companionship through the last 6 years?
No. So coming from Hong Kong in the mid-60s with a father that wasn't particularly present because he was at sea working, I can see it all, you know, how it happened. But it was a very difficult. We were the first outsiders to move into the village, and they considered a foreigner someone from 6 miles away. So
it's already a fascinating life story, and you know, I'm gripped. And you know, wanting you to write it down or do something with it, you know. But we've got more immediate concerns, you know, maybe those things will spin in the next
they are part of one of the
few years, you know.
I've been looking at various voice trainings on a practical level, just about using the voice and the biomechanics of the voice to even help older people with their voice to find their voice as well. But I don't know, it's like somehow this came in and I went, or maybe I'll start here just for me to find even greater freedom inside, even greater embodiment. And then I do the detailed work of the biomechanics and the singing and the structure and the tone, that kind of stuff later. So
you won't get much of that from me, I'm afraid.
No. That's what I got. I mean, I've got other things that I can look at for that. So, but the whole embodiment of voice and listening to what people were doing with that voice and that exploration. If I may share, there was someone I saw years ago. I lived in Byron Bay, which is a pretty amazing place or was in England, in Australia on the East Coast, a bit like the Totnes of Australia. So, and I heard this, he was an Iranian man. He was an incredible, multifaceted man. He was businessman in that place. But one night I went along, he was doing a voice singing something, a spiritual something. I can't remember even how he titled it. And it was a 2-hour release of sound, of singing, of music, of pure tone it was just exquisite and it was kind of, he said it was part of the culture, sort of, but it was extended. He extended it where you kind of just release to the sound of spirit coming through you, of God, of Allah, or whatever he was. It just was absolutely transporting. So I think that was at the back of my head, and I was reminded of that on one of the little videos that I watched. So yeah.
Right.